That's really loud. Hey, hello. Sorry about that. I was having projector issues. I don't even know what I did to fix it. It just started working. So, couple reminders. This is the last day of Unit 2. We made it. One more unit to go as part of this class. So, no class next week, but we do have a study session / guest speaker on Monday next week. I believe that'll be starting at 6 o'clock. So if you're interested in the guest speaker and or you need some help finishing up blogs, be sure to come in next week. Hang out with us. There'll be some TFs here to assist you with any assignments that you have left outstanding. For Unit 3, you need to have all the Unit 2 stuff submitted by the deadline, which is the following, not this Sunday, but a week from this Sunday. So you need to make sure to have all that stuff submitted by then. So today, hopefully, will be a good opportunity for you to talk to your TFs about what you've got outstanding and how you're going to get there, what the roadmap will be like. If you think you need some help after class, outside of class, please come Monday, but also don't, feel free to talk to your TFs and set up a time to meet up with them or talk to them after class or online. There'll be people on Slack. Whatever you need to do, make sure you get the help that you need to finish up these assignments before moving on to Unit 3. If you requested to switch, I've been told to inform you that we will be informing people of the moves. If you want to switch to the Tuesday, Saturday session, do the C#. I've been told that there's probably not going to be any issue with that at all. And if you want to stay here, you're welcome to stay here. So, but you will be formally notified of that sooner rather than later. But you do need to make sure to have all your Unit 2 stuff submitted to proceed on to Unit 3. Are there any questions about logistics or other stuff before we hop into today's material? Cool. All right, so we got one topic left today, and it's kind of a loose end. We've been dancing around a topic, or maybe not dancing around it, maybe more like ignoring it entirely for the last 7 weeks, which is that, yes, we have a functional website, but it looks kind of hideous. I don't know, hideous might be a strong word. It doesn't look nice. It certainly looks sort of bare bones, kind of plain. And so the question is, well, how can we spice it up a little bit? How can we make things look nice? So a couple of questions from the review session today, and then we'll do our last walkthrough for Unit 2. What does it mean for a website to be responsive? That's a term that we hear thrown around a lot these days. What do we mean by that when we say website's responsive?
It changes how it runs the device that you use.
Yeah, it's based on whatever device you're using. Back when I went to school, when I went to college, when we learned how to do programming, your phones could kind of get online, but they were those little weird sort of janky websites. You know what I'm talking about if you had a mobile phone in the mid-2000s, right? It was kind of a website, but it was also like, what? This isn't really a website. So nowadays, that's not true anymore. Nowadays, smartphones can browse the web just as well as any other device can. So websites need to be able to accommodate those devices. So a responsive website is one that can react to the platform that's being used to view it, whether that's a computer, whether that's a phone, whether that's a tablet, or any other device that might be able to access that website. So that's what we mean by responsive websites. It's used to be very difficult, still has some challenges to it, but has gotten a lot easier in recent times thanks to something called Bootstrap. What is Bootstrap? What is it? How would you describe it? Framework? Sure. What's it doing for us? The hard stuff? I would call it the boring stuff, honestly. It's not necessarily hard, it's just tedious. Like, could you do it? Yeah. Do you want to do it? Not really. No. Thankfully, somebody else has already done it for us. So we see this a lot with programming. You'll hear this term eventually thrown around ad nauseum. Don't reinvent the wheel. Don't reinvent the wheel. Don't reinvent the wheel. Somebody's already done the thing that you're trying to do for the basic stuff. So you don't have to do it over again. Go find somebody else that did that thing and see if they'll let you use their stuff. If it works, it works. Boom, you just saved yourself a ton of time. So Bootstrap is, I'd call it a library or a framework, I guess I would accept that as well, that does some stuff that has already been done tons and tons and tons of time. so that we don't have to keep redoing it over and over and over again. Mostly to do with styling websites, adding tools to websites to make them responsive and to improve user interaction. So I've already sort of partially answered this question, why should we use Bootstrap? But there are other reasons why Bootstrap is useful, why it's so common. Anybody think of some other reasons why Bootstrap is useful to us? Consistency is a big thing as well. If you're designing a lot of websites, if you're managing a lot of websites, having a consistent tool like Bootstrap will keep you more organized, keep you from having to remember, what was the thing that I did for this website? No, it'll just be Bootstrap, which is all sort of familiar, all has a similar setup. It is widely used, it's very common, so that means there's a lot of documentation out there. That means there's a lot of people out there who can help answer your questions when you get stuck with stuff. That's a good resource. What are some reasons why we shouldn't use it? What are some disadvantages of Bootstrap? Here's one. A lot of people use it. And you start to recognize websites now and be like, oh yeah, these people just bootstrapped the crap out of this website. And so you start to, especially when you play around with it, I would encourage you to go home today and you know, the websites that you browse on a regular basis, look at them. I would be willing to bet that a large portion of them are using Bootstrap. And so it's almost become a crutch to people. You know, in other words, it sort of sucks the creativity out of designing a website in a lot of ways. Why would I spend some time designing a unique interface for my website, designing something really creative, when I can just slap some Bootstrap on it and call it a day? So some people argue that Bootstrap has become a negative thing for website design, for user interface design. Other people, like me, who don't want to spend weeks designing the interface for a website, think it's a godsend because you just saved a bunch of time for me. So, you know, you should be aware that not everything about it is good. It does have some disadvantages to it. It can also increase the complexity of your code a lot. Especially, you'll see people out there who will just slap Bootstrap on their website without even really thinking about what it does, what it's being used for. So they just naively follow some code that somebody posted online somewhere. Will it work? Will it look nice? Yeah, sure. But then a year later, when you have to go fix something or change something, are you going to understand how it works? No, you're not. So it sort of prevents you from properly learning how to do things, just sort of this cookie cutter idea. Not to say that those are problems that can be avoided if you're smart about it. One of the things that Bootstrap's most famous for is the grid system. So how does the grid system work? How many slots do I have in my grid system? 12. And so it's up to me to then mix and match however I want to, those 12 slots across my website. So I can do a column of 4 and a column of 8, or even columns. I'm sorry, yeah, that is 12. 3 columns of 4, 2 columns of 6. However I want to do it, but it is somewhat mandatory that you use up all 12 of those grid spaces when you design your website. This goes back to what we talked about before, keeping things responsive. This is what allows us to make responsive websites, or allows Bootstrap to help you make responsive websites. We're doing things relative. I take a screen, divide it in 12 sections. I can do that with a laptop. I can do that with my phone. I can do that with my tablet. I can do that with any screen that I look at. I can divide it into 12 equal sections. And so by doing this relative to those 12 sections instead of absolute measurements for things, that's something you should always be careful of when doing stylings. Please resist the urge to say that this thing is always 20 pixels wide, or this thing should go exactly at this coordinate on the screen, because then when somebody looks at it, it looks great on your computer, right? And when somebody looks at it with their gigantic monitor on their desk at work, it looks awful, or it's not in the right place at all. So this grid system, this relative positioning system, is really sort of the key to what makes Bootstrap responsive. And then, so last but certainly not least, one of the things we linked you to in the prep work was this W3 Schools. We've linked you there before. It's a great website. W3 Schools tutorial that goes through just a gigantic amount of Bootstrap tools, Bootstrap components, and things. I'll be totally upfront with you. I can probably name some of the things on that list, but I I've never used some of the things on that list before. I've never touched them outside of this class. And that doesn't mean that I never will use them or that I don't think that they're useful. I've just never had a need to do it. And if I ever did need to, guess what? I'm just going to look it up. I'm going to look up how to use it. So don't feel like that's something, that's definitely one of those things where, is it good to know about? Is it good to play around with? Yes. But don't sit there and feel like you got to memorize every single one of those things. It's not worth your time. What I am curious to know, though, is, what are some of the components you saw that you thought were particularly cool or useful, or maybe you've seen them used effectively on particular websites? Does anybody remember some examples from the tutorial that they thought were particularly interesting? Yeah.
The accordion.
The accordion? So what's the accordion do for us?
The accordion collapses some data, and then when you click on it, it opens that piece of it, but then closes.
Yeah.
what you had open.
Yeah, so I think of accordion as almost like a series of tabs, right? Or it reminds me less of an accordion. I guess it's sort of named for an accordion file, or I don't know. I see where they get the name from, but it reminds me of just like a filing cabinet, right? Where I go through and I pick the folder that I want and I open the folder and it squishes everything else out of the way. So yeah, that's a kind of unique interface. Have you seen that used before on websites? Wikipedia uses it? Does it? Oh yeah, on the mobile site. Yeah, on the mobile site. Yeah, not on the main site. Actually, it kind of bothers me a little bit on the mobile site, because if you ever hit the back button on your phone, it doesn't open the thing again where you left off. It doesn't take you back. I don't know. Maybe that's just my phone. Me being nitpicky. But what other components did you see that you thought were really cool that you liked? Carousels. What does the carousel do?
Like a slideshow that you can click through that has images.
Yeah. Yep. I used one of those on the website that I made for my wedding, and people loved it. They ate it up. Carousels are great for putting little slideshows of pictures on there. That's actually one of the most commonly used ones that you'll see. Keep a lookout for Bootstrap websites. You'll often see carousels employed. Yeah, what else? Any others you saw that you thought were interesting? I mean, here's a thought. Let's go to some of the LaunchCode websites and see what they use. Even just launchcode.org, right? Pretty sure they're using the Bootstrap on here. We got this guy up top. That's a nav bar for sure. It's been formatted. This is not quite a carousel. What would you call this? Maybe a banner? Something like that. You can actually see the grid system at work here with the 3 gridded out pieces, right? More grids that you can clearly see down here, gridded out. So, and even if I sign in here to the, what's my password? Matrix? No. That's not it. If you go to the website that we've been using for the class even, right? The website that we've been using to do, yeah, we can open this up real quick. This guy here. This website, the one with all the studios, all the stuff on it, this is also bootstrapped. This guy up here, there's a name for that. Does anybody know what that's called? It's called a hamburger. Because it looks kind of like a hamburger, I guess. But it's a hamburger menu. You actually see these a lot on phones. You actually see these a lot on mobile websites. Because it takes up a much smaller amount of screen real estate. So it kind of gets out of the way. You don't have to look at it as much. But this is definitely bootstrapped. You can kind of get used to the look and feel. This little bar that's sort of hovering on top is a classic bootstrap move. So you can kind of see even the typeface, even the fonts and such you see are pretty common bootstrap sorts of things. So keep your eye out. You'll start to notice it a lot more. If you haven't done so already. Any other ones that you guys thought were particularly interesting, particularly cool? We're going to use one today in the walkthrough. This is the last walkthrough for Unit 10. We're going to say goodbye to flick list forever. Not forever. I mean, it's on your computer. You can say hi whenever you want. but we are gonna add some Bootstrap to flick lists. That's our goal for the walkthrough today. So we're gonna add a nav bar, basically. And let me show you sort of the motivation behind this. I can start up our website. Oh, I need to start up MAMP though, don't I? Start up MAMP real quick. While that's going, I can get into the website. Start up my environments. All right, let's, did the MAMP thing start up or it's still working? Almost. Come on, there we go. All right, let's start up our website and just kind of take a peek where we left off. I'm on the walkthrough 10 branch, by the way. I switched over to it before class. So if you need to switch over to it, make sure to do that. Let's go take a look at where we left off with our website. You can see that, we got the functionality working pretty well, but it's just plain text on a white background, right? Just plain black text on a white background. So there's not a whole lot of fanciness going on here. Everything works great, which is fantastic, right? It just doesn't look as cool as it could. So what I want to do is I want to consolidate some of these links down. You see I've got a login link, I've got a register link. Let me log in real quick. I hope my account's still in there. Let's see if this works. Oh, whoops. Yeah, because we did the hashing. Whoops. My bad. Because we did the hash passwords last time and I don't have a hash password. Well, let's register a new account then. I don't even have another email address, but I guess it doesn't have to be real, does it? I work at Facebook now. Tell me I don't. Oh, come on, man. What did I do wrong? Oh, I forgot to drop the tables. That's what I did. Shoot. Forgot to drop the tables and recreate them. I'm going to need to do that real quick. I apologize. From app import db from models imports user and movie. Does db look good? Yeah, db looks good. db.drop, is it drop all? And then db.create all. Sorry about that. I should have done that earlier. So the problem, for those of you who missed it, were that we created this password hash column and we did a whole bunch of hashing last time, and I forgot to drop my tables to reflect the fact that we're now doing password hashing. That was my fault. That one was on me. So I just had to drop my tables and set it up again. So let's try it out now and see. Hopefully it works now. Let's try it out. So all my users are gone. Oh, it logged me in. Okay, sure. That's fine. I'm okay with that. So, I want to take some of these links. We actually have 4 links. The main page, which we're on right now, this ratings page, this logout link, and the register link. I want to take those and I want to use Bootstrap to make a navigation bar for me and do a nav bar that consolidates all those links down. That's our goal for today's walkthrough. Did I lose anybody? Is anybody unclear? I know I had a little bit of weirdness going on. Is there any questions before I switch over and start doing some Bootstrap stuff? So here's the deal. I put nav bars, Bootstrap nav bars on pages before plenty of times. I don't remember how to do it. It's not like stored in my head. So we're going to look some stuff up. First thing we need to do is get Bootstrap included onto our site. And so there's a link that you were directed to a couple times. I think it's just called getbootstrap.com. That gives you a few different options here. says there's a download button on this page, which we can click if we truly want to download. You actually can download Bootstrap and get your own copy of it if you want to. That is totally an option. But then there's this option down here called Bootstrap CDN. This is the option that I like to use. What does CDN stand for? Does anybody remember? Anybody see it in the prep work? Content Delivery Network. So Bootstrap's got some stuff. We want to use that stuff. So instead of having to download their stuff, we can actually just use a copy that they've got for us that's available to use. So there's a whole bunch of servers out there that have the Bootstrap code already on it. Instead of making our own copy, we can just tell it to go reference one of those copies instead. The nice thing about this is it takes up less space on our computers. We don't have to download a copy. We just use their copy. So it takes up less space. But the trade-off, it's always a trade-off, especially with computers, is that it's probably going to take longer to go to their servers and access the information than it would be if we had our own copy on our own computer. But it is usually simpler to set up. It's usually pretty easy to set up. Let's see. Does this have everything that I want? There should be. I do want to use the Bootstrap CDN. Let me click this link real quick and see. This looks a little bit different than what I was doing before. Okay. No. That's not what I want. Let's just copy this and see what happens. If you're using, I don't know which one of these two that we actually need. I don't actually remember. This looks like a different page than what I was looking at even just earlier today, but I guess I'll trust it. I guess we'll just try it out and see what happens. I think we'll take all of it. I think we'll take both of these pieces. This has some jQuery stuff in it, which we have not talked about JavaScript. So all you really need to know about JavaScript right now is that it helps make some of the Bootstrap stuff work. If you're interested in JavaScript, we can have a conversation about that at some point in time. But for right now, I'm just going to copy this code directly from the Bootstrap website. And if I want this to apply, if I want this navbar to show up on every page in our flick list application, where's a good place to copy this code into? The base HTML, because that's where all of our other pages are inheriting from. So let's open up a code editor, hop over to our base.html. And if we're linking stuff like style sheets and things like that, you can actually see we've already got some CSS here. It's going to go in the header. So I can paste this code right here. So do I know every single little piece of what this code does? Actually, I do know most of what it's trying to do. We've seen a lot of this, as a matter of fact. I know. Go away. This is code. The first two, the sources, the SRCs that you see here, there's one for jQuery and there's one for this popper.js library. That's code. That's linked to code that Bootstrap wants to use to do stuff. What does that code do exactly? It's not really we don't care. It's not really our job to worry about that. Integrity, we actually talked a little bit about this before. SHA-384, what is that? That's a hash. Wait, what are we using hash for? Authenticity, we're verifying. So this integrity value is saying, grab this file, run it through a hash function, specifically this hash function, and here is the long string of gibberish that I would expect you to get back out. Why is it telling us that? Because it's possible that somebody could sit in between us and Bootstrap and modify with that code somehow, right? Put some malicious stuff in there, put some evil JavaScript in that file. So if we don't check the integrity of that file, if it doesn't match, we know somebody's tampered with it. Somebody might try to hijack our website that way. Because this is code. This is JavaScript code that we're now going to be running on our website by including it. So it's giving a way to make sure that the file is what it should be. And then there's this cross-origin anonymous. I'm actually not sure what that's for, but so we need those, and then we also need this guy up here. which is just the actual Bootstrap itself. You can see bootstrap.min.css and bootstrap.min.js. So we'll copy this guy as well, and we'll paste that in here too. I hope we did this all right. Again, I'm a little confused because this looks different than what I'm used to, but I'm just gonna roll with it for now until somebody tells me not to, or until it breaks, one of the two. Okay. So that already we've done a significant chunk of work. We've included Bootstrap in our code. Next thing we need to do is drop some Bootstrap CSS, drop some Bootstrap classes into our HTML. And I specifically want to make a nav bar. So guess what? Let's go to the documentation and look up a nav bar. Nav bar. Oops, not a nav bar. What are you doing to me here? Nav bar. I don't know why it opened my developer tools. Nav bar. And so typically with Bootstrap, if you are interested in something, it'll pop up a little example. Is this the example? Is this example okay? Actually, I'm gonna use the, sorry, I know I'm jumping around a little bit here. I'm gonna use the link from the prep work because I feel better about that link than this link. This link down here where it says you can read the official documentation for Bootstrap. This is the link that I'm used to. And actually, let me double check something else real quick because I'm still nervous about that other thing. Bootstrap tutorial, yes, get started. Oh, see, this is what I expected to find here. Let me check the versions real quick. 3.3.7. What did we use? That's 4.1.0 though. Is that right? See, something's a little off here to me.
Yeah, that looks like version 3.3.7.
I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this. I'm going to use the version that we see here. Actually, what's this link? Where's this link take us? Oh, see, and this link actually provides us, this is what I was looking at earlier today from the prep work. I think I grabbed the wrong code. I'm sorry about that, guys. I'm going to use this link here. I trust this one a little bit better. I'm gonna remove these 4 lines that we added and replace them with the other. Oops. Sorry for any confusion that may have caused. I don't think there's a huge difference in these other than perhaps the version that we're using. But I do want to be consistent with what you saw in the prep work. Sorry, I'm just being nitpicky about my indentation now. Okay, quick recap in case I lost somebody. I had some code here, but I didn't like it. So I went to the prep work. There was this W3C, either this code or this code. I trust either one of these, which is just links from the prep work.
How'd you get to that page?
I clicked the getbootstrap.com link on W3 Schools. I think what you see here on W3 Schools, though, and what you see here on this page should be either very similar or maybe even exactly the same. And part of the confusion, I think, is what you see up here. Bootstrap 4 has come out. That's a relatively recent development. And I got to be honest with you, I haven't dug into that yet. I don't really know what all is involved with Bootstrap 4, and so I'm sort of avoiding it for the time being until I become more familiar with it. We're going to use version 3 for now. I think that might have been what I was looking at before, was version 4 stuff. Okay, I feel better now. So let's go and take a look now. Again, this link here that I'm looking at, this is also from the prep work. It's just this very last link, an optional resource where you can read the official documentation for Bootstrap. That's what this is. And you can see that there's an entry for navbar. That's what I want to do. I want to put a navbar in here. So let's go take a look at the navbar stuff. It tells me a whole bunch of warnings and other information, but really the interesting stuff's down here. This is an example of a navbar, and it even shows you what this example will look like. Some of this stuff I'm interested in, like these links, that looks good. The brand, I can put flick list there, right? So that looks good. Do I need a search box? No, I don't. Do I need drop downs? Not really. Our website doesn't really have that much stuff. It's just a few links. So this is where the work of Bootstrap comes in. It can do lots of stuff, but you need to pick out what you really want, what you really care about, and get rid of the other stuff that you don't need, that you don't really care about. So there's a big chunk of code here, and I would like to at least take a moment to sort of familiarize ourselves with this chunk of code. I don't like just blindly copy pasting stuff into an application that I'm running. I'm not going to analyze every single detail, but we can see up here at the top, this is something that we see a lot with, sorry, I can try to zoom in here and make this a little easier for you to read. This is something we see a lot with Bootstrap. Dropping a container class in there, right? That was one of the first things that you saw in the tutorial. Bootstrap's looking for this container div so that it knows that that's something that it's going to apply Bootstrap stuff to. Then we can see another div for the navbar header, the button, which looks like it's what's going to toggle to collapse the navbar or not. I don't know that we're even necessarily going to use that particular piece. But this part here, navbar brand, that's what's going to put in this leftmost piece here, this larger chunk. That would be where our logo goes, right? Or the name of our company. And then this next section is well commented here. It says collect the nav links, forms, and other content toggling. So we see that I've got a list, an unordered list that shows a list of links. Here's one link in this row. Here's another link in this row. It even tells me which one could be active, right? So which page am I on right now? I think it highlights it. Yeah, it highlights it a little bit if you want to. Here's how to make a drop-down, although we don't need to make a drop-down for our purposes. I don't think that's necessary, but if we want to make a drop-down, we can. If we want to put in a search box like this, we can. Notice it's just a form with a text box in it and a submit button. So I can stick a search box right up in my navbar if I want to. And then here's the remaining links on the right-hand side of the navbar. So what I'm going to do, now that we kind of have a general idea what's going on, is I'm going to copy this example, and I'm going to remove the stuff that just doesn't apply to me. So I'll go ahead and copy it. Come down here to my, come down here to my web page, and we can see that there's a big chunk of stuff that's going to be gone now, right? We need to be careful. I don't want to delete too much stuff. So this form action log out, this log out button, that's going to be part of our navbar now, right? This login link, this register link, that's going to be part of our navbar now, right? This link back to the home page, that's going to be part of our navbar now. So I'm tempted to just take this out and replace it with the navbar code, which I know is a lot. That's actually a lot more code than what we used to have there. A lot more code than what we used to have there. But remember, we don't need all of this stuff. We're going to take large chunks of this out. Specifically, we don't need those drop-down menus. So you see where it says drop-down here? I'm going to make sure to take this out. So that's gone. There's a form here for a search box. We don't need a search box, so I'm going to take that out. There's another list for things on the right side of the search box that I don't need, so I'm going to take that out. And what we're left with is actually still kind of a large chunk of code. I can almost fit it all on the screen. I want to do that real quick, so in case you're following along with me. Kind of a lot of code. Not a ton, a lot less than what we had before. Basically, I've got the stuff up top to set up the nav bar. This is the links that we want in the nav bar right here, and this is our brand. This is the name of our website. So we can start tailoring this to what we actually want our website to do. The brand is going to be FlickList. And then the links that we have here, I'm not worried about this active link. I'm actually going to take this out. And then we'll just start sticking our links in. This is going to be for the watch list. We have a ratings page. Oops, I did it wrong though. What is it? Slash, is it lowercase r? I think it's lowercase r. Ratings. And then we need 2 more links for logging in and registration. Login. I'm just cleaning up some extra code here that we don't need. We don't need this span class. That was what was doing the active highlighting which of these links we're currently on. That's actually an interesting task that we could do. We're not going to do that as part of this walkthrough, but if you wanted to improve on this setup, you could ask which page we're currently on, or pass in a parameter that says which route we're currently on, and then highlight one of these as the active route. Notice though that we're doing a lot of work, but we didn't have to write a lot of code. We actually removed more code than we wrote. It's more understanding the structure of what's showing up here. This sets up the nav bar for us, this top part. And then these are the actual links that I care about. So most of the work that I had to do with this example is right here, setting up these links. Are there any questions before I try this out? All right. Let's give it a shot and see how it looks. Hopefully it looks better. Start up our website again. Did I save it? Looks like I did. I hope I did. We're about to find out. And we'll go and refresh. Hey, that looks a lot better. Notice that I did some other stuff too, right? The font changed. That's just part of Bootstrap. I have this extra ratings link down here that I actually don't need anymore. That's leftover. That's leftover stuff. But let's click on some of these links, make sure that they actually work, right? Looks like they do. Login, register. So I can click these links. They actually take me to the places I expect them to go. I guess the one last little piece of cleanup that I would do is take this link out. We don't need it anymore. That would be on the, what page is that on? The edit page, I think. Yeah, this link here, we don't need it anymore, so I would take that off. Refresh this one more time. Cool. And now we have a same functionality, does exactly the same stuff, right?
You did lose your log out.
Oh, I lost my, well, that's on me, right? I forgot to put the logout button on here. Whoops. Thank you. So you can put a logout link up here as well. I forgot to do that. In fact, yeah, we can just stick a log. Oops. Log out. Ah, too many tags. Too many tags. All right. Thank you. I did forget to put log out in there. And actually log in is a little strange to see here when I'm already logged in, right? And so is register for that matter. So you can see how there's still some work that we could do to make this even better. I could add some code in my template here to only display those 2 links if I'm logged out. if I don't have a user who's currently logged in. We've seen that before. We've seen how to do that in previous walkthroughs. So you could do a similar technique here to only show certain links if you're logged in. If I'm logged out, if I'm not currently logged in, then I could actually tell it not to show, the ratings link or the logout link. Make the nav bar reflect my current status. But that really wasn't the goal of the exercise. The goal was to get some Bootstrap stuff in there, and with that we succeeded. What does it do if I log out right now? Method not allowed. Oh, that's interesting. Did I type what did I do? Oh, I know what I did. Does anybody else know what I did? I know what happened, but this is actually a good thing. It says method not allowed. Let's see if we can decipher what that means. What's the method? Post or get. Post or get. So when I clicked on this link, which method was I using? I was using a get, but apparently we had it set up to use a post instead, right? So when I clicked on this logout link using a get request, it said, I don't know what you're trying to do, man. I was expecting a post request here, and you gave me a get request. Well, that's something that we can fix. We can go find our handler in main.py, our logout handler, and switch it so that instead of doing a post, it does a get. And hopefully that fixes our button. Cool, yeah. Now it wants us to register. In fact, if I click on any of these other things, I would imagine, yeah, it's just going to take me back to the register page. Or if I click login, yeah. Cool. So everything else still works the same way that we had it before. What questions do you have? Anybody have any questions? Yeah. The base template? Yeah. Yep. Again, too, when you check out the studio code today, you'll actually see navbar code in your in your repository. It won't look exactly like this because this exercise is different every single time I do it, since I'm just looking stuff up and copying code in there. But it'll look mostly like this. It'll look very similar to what you see here. So you already have this example in your repository. Just check out the Studio 10 branch, and you'll see some navbar code stuck in the base.html file if you want to take a peek. What other questions do you have for me about Bootstrap? So the Bootstrap process in general is very similar. Figure out what Bootstrap elements you want to add in, and then spiffy up your page. Toss them in there, make them look good. And I think that's the studio today, actually, is go find some Bootstrap stuff and make the page look even better. Get creative. You can post your work in the showcase channel on Slack when you get it finished up. And so this is the end of the walkthrough. Today's the last studio. I would say that if you're still not finished with the assignments, that should probably be your priority today, not the studio. Get those assignments done first. Talk to your TFs, tell them what you need to get those assignments completed. Otherwise, make your flick list site look really nice, and then you can go show it off. We have a completely functional website now, so we'll be around if you have any questions. Thanks.